Hello, my Teaserking family. How the hell is everybody? I am fine. The professor coming to you. So, a lot of interesting things to go over today. Why did I put March 11th in the title? Well, that was due to apparently the repos are coming due March 11th. And there's going to be a lot of bank problems March 11th. What's a repo? Well, the bank loaned you money to buy a house or car. Now, with inflation and all the unemployment and the recession, people can't afford to pay it back. So they repossess the car or the house. And the banks are depending on that money coming in to help offset when they owe people who put their money in on deposits for annuities, for CDs, for money markets. So you give as I said, you give the bank $100,000 at 5%. So let's say they owe you $500 a month. Where are they going to get the money from? Either A, more deposits, B, the idea of the bank is to loan your money out for cars or houses. At that point, they're expecting that money to come in to pay the interest I owe you for putting the money into my bank in the first place. So that's what a repossession is. But apparently, all these rates are due to go up March 11th. They're like adjustable rate. So if I gave you a car or a house, you can do fixed rates or variable rates. So all the variable rates that the bank put out, well, let's say percent, is going to be 5%. That's going to, when they bought the money for the loan, so the bank doesn't have any money, or they have some to loan you, but not a lot. So they get it at a small rate at, let's say, 2-3%. Now to refinance that, they now have to pay 5%. So their rate went up. That's what they charge you more. But since you're not going to pay the loan because you need to get repossessed because you can't afford it, they still have the loan on their books, and it just went up. So it cost them more. Banks can't afford it. Banks go out. There'll be some more banks going out because apparently this March 11th date, which I'm not sure of, but 2 weeks, and we'll go from there. But keep that in mind. A lot going on in Russia with the war, with the gold and everything. I think they're getting ready to go gold standard soon. So it's coming pretty quickly. I think people are still have the misconception, and this is why I wanted to compare economic systems with you. People are still under the misconception that prices are going up, not that the dollar is losing all its value. Now, there's one thing I wanted to show you. There was something about Europe. So let's see. So this is called Wolf Street. So I don't know what Wolf Street is, but higher for longer inflation and interest rates not over until the fat lady sings, waiting for the 2-year treasury yield to overshoot. So they're saying inflation's not over. We know it's not over. But they still get it wrong. They still think inflation surprised us with sharp decline driven by the collapse in energy prices. So again, they don't understand inflation. They think it's all prices and the drop in durable goods prices. This is people can't afford them, so people aren't buying them. Does not mean inflation went down. They're idiots. Pulling down overall CPI inflation from 9% in June to 3% in 20, but services inflation has remained high. You see, they don't know what they take a few prices and say there's inflation. There was something in Europe. So I don't really want that. The Europe was having high inflation also, and they don't get it. This is the problem. What I wanted to show you. So Lynette Zing was talking about velocity, and so I did a little research on it, and it's Keynesian. It's what it is in simplest terms is there's two things you do with your money. You spend it or you save it. And if you spend it, velocity goes up because it's moving around. And they think that's inflation because you're spending. And then they think the more, see, they're trying to compare, they can't understand it. So if there's a 50 count Mahomes and there's 100 people that want it, the price goes up from demand. They don't get that. They just see the price going up. Not why, but the price going up. So they think if you spend, it'll drive prices up, which they think is what inflation is. So if the velocity is high, the inflation's high because there's more spending going around. Then they think it's good for the economy. They don't even understand inflation. However, what's happening lately, this is my take on it. The more we're waking people up, the more they're understanding we need to go out of the banks, and they're trying to protect. And so therefore they don't see the velocity going as fast because I go buy gold and that's it. And the guy with the gold has money, but I'm not really spending it on a baseball mitt or football or something. I'm buying gold with it. And they don't know how to take that into consideration. So in their world, the quicker you spend, the better it is for the economy. And they don't like savings because they think you have to spend to grow the economy. And then if they're like calling a supply chain problem, is strictly prices. This is the problem with it. So let me read this velocity. What does money velocity tell us about low inflation in the U.S.? Inflation is typically described as a persistent increase in the general price level. This is where our problems arise. They don't even know what it is. That is not what it is. That's the effect of printing the money, but they don't even understand that. Such as in the Consumer Price Index, one of the most important theories to explain inflation is the monitor's view that, according to Milton Friedman, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. In other words, inflation occurs because there is too much money available to buy the same amount of goods and services produced in the economy. Well, that's not really what it is. It goes back a step to printing more money. So you're printing more money than you need. So if you need $1 million of goods and services and you print 2 million, That's inflation because you only need 1 million. That's kind of what Milton, but I thought Milton was more of an Austrian than back when he did it, they didn't even have monetarists. So they're renaming him monetarist. I read him as an Austrian. In other words, inflation occurs because there's too much money available to buy the same amount of goods and services. Well, how do you know it's the same amount of goods and services? This is so flawed, it's ridiculous. This view can also represent by the so-called quantity theory of money. I don't even want to go there. Then it gets real Keynesian, right? Which relates the general price level, the total goods and services produced in a given period, the total money supply, and the speed, velocity of money circulates in the economy, facilitating transactions. And this based on the equation holding the velocity constant. If the money supply increases at a faster rate than real economic output, the price level must increase to make up the difference. So let's get this straight. If you print more money at a faster rate than real economic output, why would the price increase? So the price the real reason the price should increase is because there's more than 50 people who want this card. This would drive up the price, but we got to go back to Adam Smith. The price goes up because more people want it. That's the reason the price goes up. It's got nothing to do with velocity of money or money printed or anything. In fact, money printed probably, money, the more money, put it this way, in basic English, the more money printed, the less it's worth. But yet they struggle with this. They come up with this bullshit. And this is the problem. So people go and Lynette's saying, oh, it's velocity. Do you know what it is? No. Can she explain it? No. Oh, it's how money changes hands. Oh, what does that have to do with anything? How is that inflation? Well, if we spend more, well, what if we just spend $5 now, $1,000? It's a Keynesian mechanism. It's used to confuse people who say it don't know what it means. It's money changing hands. What does that mean? I mean, why is that inflationary? Well, it raises prices. Why? Prices are based on supply and demand. Prices are based on me auctioning this off, and there's enough demand for it to go up. Pure and simple. It doesn't matter how much money is printed. Now, the more money print, you hit the value of the dollar goes down. That is what the inflation is. And that's why you can't print the money, because you're hurting the value of the money. So the dollar's going, that's where alligator gets that. It's the dollar going down, not gold going up. But he needs to say it for everything. It's the value of the dollar dropping, and all goods and services go up because the money's not worth as much. So if I paid, I don't know. So if my cost for this is $30 and I'm selling it for 50. And now you've printed the money and they're worth less. That means to get my $50 out of this, I need to charge 60 or 70, whatever the value of the dollar is to get my money out of that. Or as we were saying yesterday, here it is. So why was a Pepsi 10 cents in 1971 and now it's $2.50 2 days ago? Why is that? And because the money was worth a lot more back then, that all they needed was a dime. But a dime back then is worth $2.50 now. That's probably the best way I can explain it, right? So as it took $37 to buy the ounce of gold, it now takes $2,050 to buy the ounce of gold. And it's still an ounce of gold, which is what Alligator tries to say, but he doesn't really say it right. So what happens is the dollar's lost its value. Why? Because they printed the shit out of it. There's what? There's $150 trillion in the world because they made the bullshit thing of, well, we need to force you to use the dollar to go between countries. So if I have Swiss francs, I can't just give you Swiss francs to buy euros. Why not? Can't we just get a value between Swiss franc and euro? No, we need the US in there. So we need you to buy US dollars. For what reason? To then buy the euro. Well, this is why nobody wants it, but even so, it doesn't make any sense. There should be, this is the problem with floating exchange rate. Floating exchange rates, the rates move, which they can be manipulated, and we all know who does that so well, JP fucking Morgan. I want to read some JP Morgan stuff to you today. Blow your mind. So it's the value of the dollar dropping that's the inflation. And then it just takes more dollars to buy things, which is why you think prices go up. So it was 10 cents for a Pepsi in 71 because that's how strong the dollar was. Did the Pepsi go to 250? Or is the dollar now, it takes $2.50 to buy the same thing a dime bought you. And that's what you got to understand. And that's what's so confusing. They start talking of this velocity bullshit. How much if I go to the grocery store and I buy chicken and then how does that cause inflation? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not printing any more money. The other thing at the grocery store that I had to laugh at, so I get to the register to check out. I got some chicken and some hamburger. And the hamburger was getting more expensive. It was like $7 a pound now. Here it comes. And this is going to happen really quick. So you better be ready to buy your gold if you haven't. Because now I'm seeing, like I kept seeing hamburger at $4 or $5. And now I saw steaks. Almost like 14. I'm seeing hamburger $8, $7, which I hadn't seen before. There was always, $5.99. This is what we're afraid of. And then so I get to the register and it says no cash accepted. And I had to laugh going, if I use my debit card, I'm paying you in cash, or my credit card. That's cash. I'm paying you in cash electronically. So the fact I'm not handing you this, but I'm giving you a credit card, it's the same thing. These people don't even understand it. Like, I'm still giving you cash. I'm just not giving you a paper dollar formally. I am giving you a paper dollar if I give you my debit or credit card, because they go out to my checking account and take my paper money and give it to you. So they don't even understand that concept. Why they don't want to take paper. I mean, what's the difference? You're putting all this money in the bank. It's in paper. So you have 100,000 in the bank, right? You want to buy gold. What do? You go to the bank and you say, give me my 100,000. Now they're giving you all of it, but let's say you get 25 grand. What are you getting? You're getting paper. You go to the gold store, you give them the 25 grand, he gives you 12 ounces of gold. It's as simple as that. I don't know how they think they're not dealing in paper, or they don't want like dollar, like you got to use electric dollars instead of physical dollars. What the fuck is the difference? Somebody out there is incredibly stupid, running everything. And we all know it's our government, but that's ridiculous. So anyway, so velocity, the theory would be if everybody goes and spends their money, I don't know if that's good or bad for inflation. Holding the money velocity constant, if the money supply increases at a faster rate than the output, the price level they're almost close. If the money supply increases faster than the output, That doesn't that doesn't make any sense. So if we need $1 million and you print $2 million, then the other million is inflation, kind of, maybe. At the end of the day, if you're printing money, it's inflation. And if you're not, or if, it doesn't matter how much you spend, it's because then you get into this, well, they're printing, more money, so the prices go up only if the market will bear it. And they're missing that whole part of the equation. The price goes up if the market allows it. And that's the difference, as I put in my title, the different economy things. So velocity is just how much are you spending or saving? If you're saving your money, then the velocity is low. But that still doesn't matter about inflation. It's how much did you print? If you're spending your money, you're getting rid of it before the prices go up. Either way, this does not matter about it. This is the Keynesian way of bullshitting. It means nothing. Declining velocity. The issue has to do with the velocity of money, which has never been constant, as can be seen in the figure below. If for some reason the money velocity declines rapidly during an expansion monetary policy period, it can offset the increase in money supply. Excuse me? If the money velocity declines, if people save and buy gold rapidly during an expansion monetary policy, so if they're printing money, so what they're trying to say here, which is a total lie, if you save during the time they're printing money, it can offset the increase in money supply and even lead to deflation instead of inflation. Okay, this is the problem. That's the most stupid thing I've ever read in my life. You can't. You print money, it's inflation, period. Bottom line, that's it. That's one thing. You print, it's inflation. That's all there is to it. What the fuck are they talking about? How can it offset the increase in the money supply? Especially if I'm saving and they're printing a lot of money, how does that lower inflation? What are they talking about? This is why it's so difficult. Wow, this is from the Federal Reserve Bank. What do they know? Okay, I was looking at like Keynesian stuff. So a lot of velocity of money. So the question I ask is the velocity of money Keynesian? And the fundamental equation of the Keynesian system is aggregate income equals aggregate expenditures, meaning if I get $1 million, I spend $1 million. That means that the only way an individual can receive any income in the form of money is for some other individual to spend an equal sum. What the fuck are they talking about? What do you mean spend an equal sum? That's the problem with it. It's got nothing to do with what you spend and what I make $100,000. I go and spend it, save it, buy gold with it. How I shop is how I want to shop. If the hamburger is cheaper than the chicken, I buy that. If it's not, if the New York strip's on sale, I buy that. You can't calculate that shit out. So Keynes is full of shit, and he was proven wrong. I was looking at some of that. I don't know. There's a whole thing on Keynes I was scrolling through. But anyway, Keynes is a socialist or make it a communist. He's admitted to that. Basically, he wants markets to and we spend better. And what they're saying is the government can manage the economy without the. It's been proven wrong. We all know that, but yet the U.S. likes the fact that the government controls things. Government, that's where you're getting this. Government can control. They're smarter than we are. Look, we're smarter than you. We'll control the money, not you. And this is the problem with it. Gold's at 2024, up $8 today. Silver's at 23. A little dropping now. The price of this has nothing to do with interest rates or any of that bullshit. Really got nothing to do with inflation. It's paper gold. So the Keynesians believe the market is controlled. The government can do a better job, spend better than you. We're smart. You're not smart enough to run your own money. So we're gonna take it all from you, and we'll do the best. We'll do what's best for you. But you're gonna give up your freedom and your life. What are you fucking talking about? So this is the problem. The best way is freedom, is Austrian economics. We get paid, we spend our money. We don't need you spending our money. We don't need you colonizing us or making the whole thing bullshit. So this is our problem. So what is Keynesian economics? In its simple terms, Keynesians believe that because prices are somewhat rigid, fluctuations in any component of spending, consumption, investment, or government expenditures cause output to change. So they're trying to control input and output. If government spending increases, for example, and all other spending components remain constant, then output will increase. The fuck are they talking about? What are the two main ideas of Keynesian? First, demand is more likely than supply to be the primary cause of a short-run economic event like a recession. So demand is more likely than supply to be the primary cause. So basically, if inflation goes up and the money's worth less, that's going to be a recession. What the fuck am I reading? If demand is more likely than supply to be the primary cause of a recession, demand is more likely than supply. And what the fuck am I reading? It's not even in English, right? It's aggregate. So total demand is more likely than total supply to be the primary cause of a short-run economic event like a recession. What the fuck? Why can't they talk English, right? This is my point. We talk English here. They can't even explain it. Second, wages and prices can be sticky. So in an economic downturn, unemployment can result. Really? I mean, that's just basic. If prices go up, people can't afford it, don't buy. And if people don't buy, guess what? You have unemployment because the market drops. People can't afford it. You can't make your sales. So that's how a business goes, right? It costs you X to make a product. You sell it for Y. If your costs go up and you can't increase your price, you're in trouble. So you lay off people. That's how a business works. It's very simple. This is what it costs. This is what I can sell it for, right? It costs this. I sell it for this. And when your costs go up, can you sell it for more? Probably not. Maybe a little. Only goods like Mercedes or things that are like you're going to pay no matter what the price is. Maybe a Rolex doesn't really get bothered by it. People who are buying Rolexes probably pay another grand. People that want a Mercedes, they'll probably buy it, right? If it costs you 90 grand for a Mercedes, it goes up to 92 or 93 grand. You're probably still buying that Mercedes or the Ferrari. So there's things, diamonds, there's things that doesn't matter what the, it doesn't matter the selling price, but most everything else, Ford, GM, and Toyota, as their costs go up, can they pass it on to the market? This is what they keep missing here. It's got to be, inflation makes the money worth less, which forces the cost to go up because they need to make the same amount. Pepsi's at 10 cents. Now you need $2.50 to buy the can of Pepsi. So Pepsi's costs went up, although not really. So really, the deceit going on here is that you actually need more money to buy it, is that you think Pepsi raised their prices to $2.50, when in fact, Pepsi's cost, based on the dollar being worthless, to get the same goods, to get the can, the aluminum, right, for a can, probably was about 2 cents back in 1971, is probably now like $1. So it cost me $1 to buy the aluminum and the mix, and my equipment went up in price because it affects everybody. Everybody's cost, the dollar becomes worth less. So where you needed 5 cents before, you now need $1. And so therefore you have to raise your price because the dollar is worth less. Everybody starts charging you more, right? And then the key is, with inflation, can I pass it on to my customer? Keep in mind, the customer is not getting a raise, and his bills are going up, especially the monopoly type of bills like utilities. The heat and the electric have gone up, maybe to get to eat. So I only have 100,000, and now it's how do I spend it? But now I'm still making 100,000 5 years later, but everything else costs have gone up because the dollar has been devalued. I want to buy a house. Well, it was 25,000, now 475, 500,000. And that's just taking an average, right? I'm sure there's more. I'm sure you can still get a house for 200. I'm sure you can get a house for $1 million, of course. So they're so expensive. Well, the wood costs of the wood went up, and the carpenters and the plumbers and everybody's costs went up because the people owning the companies have to pay more for lumber, let's say. So it's a lot of wages. It's a lot of healthcare. It's these hidden government costs that get you healthcare. You're basically playing for this Obama plan bullshit where he made medical expense go through the roof. He's killing everybody because of that, right? As my medical expenses go up, I got to pay for them. I either got to give my employees medical or I don't. And then the employees, though, being free agents, go work here because they give medical, and medical is expensive, and you don't. So you have to compete. That's where competition comes in. This is where Keynesian gets killed, because the government has to take all these costs into consideration. But since they don't really hire, they don't have a clue. And then, Coca-Cola, what does the government know about Coca-Cola's costs? They don't know anything. Coca-Cola is running the business. They know, it's like my Canadian club. Well, let's see. I need a label, and I need a top, and I need a bottle, and I need to design the bottle. So I got to hire a marketing company to tell me, oh, I should put this on the bottom. This is all pre-done by marketing because it looks pretty and it's going to sell. So I know I went at the mall, you'd go to these marketing things, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I do now. Like, there'd be market surveys, and they'd pay you a couple dollars to take them. And you didn't realize, well, what are they going to say? it shows supply and demand and price for the products. Because what do we say? You've got to market your product. You got to have a market for your product, right? Can I sell Canadian Club? Can I sell this blue magic marker? Is there demand in the market for it? Now, some of it you can see because there's Pepsi and Coke where there's Canadian Clubs. So if there's Canadian Clubs, I can sell Doers and I can sell Crown Royal and I can sell Johnny Walker and I can sell all these different types of liquor because there's demand for this. So once I know there's a market for this, I don't need to do a marketing survey. I know people like whiskey. I know people like pop. I know people, it depends on what it is. Cell phones. And that's why sometimes the beginning, when I told you I had to buy an expensive VCR in like the late 70s when they first came out, it cost me like $900, which I had won on football bets. That's the amazing part about me. I won a car. I won enough to buy a car, and I bought the first VCR, but people didn't know if there was a market for it. And then I'm paying $900, and these other manufacturers are going, oh, fuck, this guy paid $900. Well, we can come in and make it cheaper. And then eventually there's 10 competitors, and all of a sudden the price is down to $200 or $300. And I'm going, I did a shake my head, Bobby. I'm like, fuck, I could have done it for, had I waited, I could have bought it for 200, but you didn't know it was going to come down. Again, that's competition. That's what the government can't determine is the market, but that fucks up their whole little demand supply thing because as the competition enters, you pay less. So wait, I just pay. How does that help velocity? Well, what are you measuring? This defeats their whole purpose. Let's read some other Keynesian shit. What is Keynesian economics focused on? Keynesian economics focused on using active government policy to manage demand in order to address or to prevent economic recessions. Keynes developed his theories in response to the Great Depression, which he caused, and he was highly critical of previous economic theories, which he referred to as, well, that's Austrian economics, classical economics. So he's focusing on government policy to manage demand in order to address or prevent economic recessions. So he wants the government to print money to stop a recession. So he doesn't believe in recessions. Recessions are fine if it's from inflation. But if you have the gold standard, you will never have a recession, because a recession is you've marked things too expensive and then they're coming down to natural. So in other words, as the inflation happened, this is 50 a bottle, goes to $100 a bottle. Well, we know that's not true. You're raising it to 100 because that's what you need, but the market doesn't want it for 100. So then you lower it back to your price. But if you had gold, you wouldn't have the inflation. This wouldn't go to 100. So this finds its price in the market based on going to the grocery store, saying, I'm going to sell this for $50. People buy it off the shelf. I go to 60. It's almost bought off the shelf. So I go, how does the government, so how does the government differentiate? A recession is, I marked it up because of the recession, because of the inflation, but the market won't buy it. So now I'm going to go down. In gold, you would never have inflation. I'd sell it for 60 and I would keep selling it for 60. And therefore I wouldn't go up and therefore I wouldn't go down. But if I need, what inflation does is it skews the business model. In other words, the business model comes in and says, you know what? The cost to make this is $50, right? It cost me $50 to make this, and I can sell it for $75. That's your business model. Can I sell it to the public? Do I have a market that is over what my costs are? And you go, yes, it's $75. I can sell it. Cost me $50. That is a plan. I'm going to go into business and make Canadian Club. Okay, so now you have inflation, which fucks everything up because it raises my cost. but doesn't allow me to raise my price. My price is set by the market, but you've raised my cost because you print money to zero instead of being on the gold standard, so you can go to fucking wars and pay more and blow up the money. That's how stupid the whole thing is. So the business model is based on a $50 cost. The recession happens when you raise my cost to 100, but my price is still 75. Now it costs me 100. Now I got to lay people off. I got to lower my price. I got to lose money. The more people that lose money, the more businesses they lay off because they can't raise the price. You're not going to be able to spend $100 on this Canadian club, but you could do it for 50. Or let's even go to, the Caesar's chip for $5, right? And in 1970, that's a big deal. Now it's not because the money is worthless. But that's probably a bad example. But let's look at this, like this Lexar chip. Let's say you sell it for $10. That's what the market will bear. But if you raise my cost to 20, I can't sell it at 20. I got to lay off people. That causes a recession because I'm laying off people. I can't raise my price. And then I lay off people means they can't buy. Now it's a domino effect. They don't go to the shopping. They don't buy goods and services because they can't. They're not making the same money. You're not making 100 grand anymore. You're making, 20 grand on unemployment or whatever. So that's really what happens. So that's why it doesn't work. They want to print money. So the Keynesians say, well, we'll print money to stop the recession because if we print more money, you'll continue to buy. Well, you're not going to buy. If you give me more money, it's going into gold or it's going into, I'm saving because I'm afraid the prices are going to go up more. That's hyperinflation. When I print the money and it's worthless and then the prices keep going is hyperinflation. And I have a feeling after going to the grocery store, we're getting ready for it because everything was much more expensive. My hamburgers, like I said, was $8 and $7 than ever been. My salad dressings, the Ken's. Now this is a more expensive grocery store. It was up from $3.45 to $4.15. However, I noticed at Meijer's it went up to it's $3.45 now. And I can just see it. That's why I buy like 5. I get them on sale. I buy like 10 of them because I need them. But, I'm going to buy them before the price goes up. That's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking in hyperinflation terms. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. That's why I say you buy it now. You buy the gold now because the gold protects you from the hyperinflation. As the prices go up, your gold goes up. Supposedly it should. That's why we know it's a bullshit price is because if salad dressings are going up and hamburgers going up, that means the dollar's going down, then why wouldn't gold be going through the roof now? That's why it's at least a $10,000 an ounce thing because the dollar is losing value. Why isn't gold going up? And that's what the Chinese and Russians and BRICS realize. The Chinese are loving it, and the Russians and the Indians. They're buying so much gold because it doesn't make sense, right? If the pop is $3.50, and if the hamburger is now $8 a pound, and the salad dressing is going up, it's not because they're raising their prices for the fuck of it. It's because the dollar's worth less. So in Austrian world, we understand inflation's printing the dollar, not all this use the government policy to help the recession and help the economy. We don't want the government to do anything. In fact, we don't want the government to print money. That's not, I'll share that with you shortly. We don't want the government to print. We don't want the government to own a monopoly. We don't want printed money. We want gold and silver. Now you can print money around the gold and silver, so people aren't walking around with ounces of gold, but we certainly want the dollars to be backed by gold, not just printed, because in effect, what's happened now is the government, our favorite people, have the monopoly on printing money, but we can't trust the government. So we're giving Bernie Madoff the opportunity to print money as a monopoly. Nobody else can compete with him. He's the only one that can print, and we're supposed to trust this loser? This is the problem that is basically happening in every country in the world. The government has control of the money, and they're all printing it because George Soros elected the officials who elect the people, central banks, to print the money. And that, in a nutshell, is really what's going on here. You're giving you're again, as we know, monopolies are bad, but what have we done? We've taken competition out of printing money, and now it's the government who has the monopoly on printing the money. How's that going to work out? How does any monopoly work out? It's not good news. It's not good news for the people. It's good news for the monopoly, because they can charge whatever they want. They can print whatever they want. But they're too stupid to understand what inflation really is. As they are printing the money to zero, they're fucking themselves over. So that's like saying, Charlie, you can eat cake, but you can't have like a whole cake every day for a year. You can have a piece once every 2 weeks or for your birthday, but you can't have cake every day. So they're printing money every day, and then illegal things by insider trading and buying stocks with it. And then, by the way, telling a Nancy Pelosi, a Clinton, an Obama, by the way, we're printing $1 trillion and we're going to buy Microsoft and Amazon stock with it, and Apple stock. So we're going to put all the money into these stocks. So why don't you buy the stocks now, and then go ahead and then we'll print the money and put it in, and we'll all make a ton because the stocks will go up because they're free market. But don't buy gold. We're not going to put the money into gold because gold isn't even a supply and demand thing right now. It's just amazing. All right, what else can we read about bullshit Keynesians? One of the 3 principles of Keynesian economics. The principles underlying the supposite include the following. Demand is influenced by public and private decisions. Okay, whatever that. Prices and wages respond slowly to changes in supply and demand. That's bullshit. Changes in demand have the strongest short-term impact on output and employment. What is output? Is that production and employment? Changes in demand. So what are they saying? I mean, in English, demand is influenced by public and private decisions. Demand is influenced by what the individual wants, mostly based on price and necessity. Do I need a Coca-Cola? Do I need the whiskey? Do I need cigarettes? And it's up to marketing to say you do need cigarettes, like the Marlboro Man, and now it's BetMGM and FanDuel. You need to bet. You need to bet. Come on, you need to bet on sports, and you need prop betting and money lines and inline. The more we can offer, you need to bet. That's what they're saying. Prices and wages respond slowly to changes in supply and demand. They don't really have nothing to do with supply. It's strictly demand, and wages don't have anything to do with it. Prices respond slowly to changes. Prices are directly affected by demand, not really supply. I mean, because if I can't get oranges, am I going to raise the price on oranges because I can't get any in? Maybe. And what am I going to raise the price to? If nobody's going to buy them, I can't raise the price. You're at the mercy of the market at us. It's all demand-based prices. Changes in demand have the strongest short-term impact on output and employment. Well, that comes back to prices, changes in demand. What is, if nobody wants Canadian Club, then guess what? I probably can't sell it, and then therefore I can't make it. I got to go out of business. That gets back to Adam Smith. So I don't know. What is the Keynesian theory for dummies? This is good. Keynesian economics proposes a path out of economic recessions. Oh, is that what it is? They're the ones putting us in the recession and depression. Government spending to prime the pump. What the fuck does that mean? Keynes believed that stimulating demand during tough times will lead to economic improvement as people will have jobs and money to spend in the economy. This guy's fucking clueless. This is why his shit doesn't work. So Keynes believed that if I print money, so right now we're in a recession. How did it work in the 1930s when we were in a depression? Printing money, how did that work? It didn't. We're in a depression for 10 years. Stimulating demand during tough times will lead to economic improvement. How? We're Say's law. We are the market. We need to be working to buy things. They totally missed that whole point. The Keynes believes stimulating demand during tough times will lead to economic improvement. People will have jobs. People won't have jobs during an economic downturn. That's the point of it. They are so reversed. They don't. The guy is fucking clueless, and yet people are listening to Keynesian. What are the pros and cons of Keynesian economics? To create jobs and boost consumer buying power during a recession. So this guy's really hung up on a recession that he's causing by having a central bank printing the money, creating the recession. So he doesn't know where it comes from. He's trying to fix something that he's causing. To create jobs and boost consumer buying power. How are you going to boost consumer buying power? Keynes held that government should increase spending. So here is the problem with Keynes and why he doesn't work. To create jobs and boost consumer buying power during a recession. Okay, you do not have jobs and you cannot boost the buying power because you don't have money. Keynes held that government should increase spending, which means government should print more money. And this is the problem we're in now. According to this moron and all these Reicherts and Maloney's and all these idiots, Lynette Zhang and Peter Schiff and all these fucking morons, if the government should increase spending. So what does the government do? Right out of the rule book. Well, we'll increase spending. That'll save the economy because we're spending. What are you buying? Guns? We'll build a road. How is that supposed to help anything? We're going to build a bridge. We'll build a school. Well, yeah, but the stuff that you're buying is not good for the economy. You're spending money is not good for the economy just to spend the money if it's out of the loop of business. So if you were to buy 100 cases of Canadian Club, that would help Canadian Club. But it's not up to the government to inflate the money supply. All it does is hurt the value of the money. How is that good in a recession? And that's why the Great Depression was the Great Depression. They listened to this idiot in the 1930s, which created the Great Depression all over the world because the government's printed. And what do we have now? We have government spending, which means this is worth nothing and this is worth nothing. The government needs gold to stabilize their currency, but he doesn't talk about that. What is he? We need the government to print. Do you not see a problem with printing money? Do you not realize it's going to zero? Even if it means going into debt, critics attack Keynesian's economics for promoting deficit spending, stifling private investment, and causing inflation. So we're the critics, right? We're saying, what are you fucking doing? You can't. Inflation is the worst thing that can be in all of the world of economics and finance. The worst thing you can do is inflate your money to zero. That's the worst thing you can possibly do, because without this, you have no economy. What good is it if government prints if this has no value? That's why your prices are up and your costs are up, is because the value killed the value of the dollar. So he can't even comprehend that printing destroys the value of the dollar. No dollar, no government, no economics, no financial system. He doesn't get that whole point. How do you miss that concept? That's why Austrian economics should be used, and it was used, as I said yesterday, in the 1879 to 1914. The whole world was on the gold standard. The whole world prospered. Now everybody's off of it, thanks to George Soros, and every country's broke. And people will say, well, we're doing it on purpose so we can go to digital currency. We can go to Bitcoin. Larry Fink can run Bitcoin or get all our data and everything. What's he so worried about our data for? What's he so worried about controlling us for? Oh, because they're smarter and they need to control us, what we do and everything. Okay. So I'm very curious about this. What are the wars for? So we can spend money. So that's really their take. The wars are government spending. We'll have a war. We'll spend money. That'll help the economy. That'll get us out of the recession if we go to war and spend a lot of money. How's that working out? We're in people ask me, are we in a recession? I go, we've been in a recession for 3 years now, because as soon as you started raising interest rates, you're in a recession because costs go up. The other big problem that most people don't understand is when the Federal Reserve raises rates, or Powell or whoever, it doesn't raise the rates on a car or a house. It's when the bank needs to borrow from the central bank. That's the raise of the interest rate. It's got nothing to do with the market. The market's based on inflation, and inflation will always increase the interest rate because you're weakening the dollar. But where's that? How come nobody can figure that out? Was Keynes a socialist? Yes, he was. Here's a good question. What is the problem with Keynes' economic policy? It advocated increasing a budget deficit in a recession. However, it is argued that causes crowding out. For a government to borrow more, the interest rate on bonds rises higher. This discourages investment in the private sector. What is Keynesian's view of inflation? The Keynesian theory implied that during a recession, inflationary pressures are low, but when the level of output is at or even pushing beyond potential gross domestic product, or GDP, the economy is at a greater risk of inflation. That wasn't even an answer, right? During a recession, inflationary pressures are low. The reason for the recession is the inflation. What a chucklehead. But this is why they like him, because if I'm a government, I get to keep printing. And most of these guys are idiots, don't understand that causes the dollar to go to zero. They haven't figured that part out. I don't know why. It's not that hard to figure out, but yes, printing the money makes it go to zero, makes it become worthless. As we've quoted many times, every currency that did not get backed by gold went to zero, including our friends, the Romans, the French, the English, the Spanish, and the Amsterdam people. You have the gold, you become a world power, you get rid of the gold, and you go to zero, because the temptation to print the money is too great, and they will keep printing it. Now, there was, back in the beginning, which I'm going to read to you, there actually was not a monopoly on printing. There wasn't the central bank, the government bank. There were actual banks that printed money that competed with themselves and used gold. And that's how you don't have this problem, because if you have gold, you're limited in what you can print, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's what a sound country does, is you have gold to keep it. China's got 60,000 ounces, probably more by now, because they keep buying all this COMEX bullshit. and Russia with 32,000 ounces. And I'm talking central bank, I'm talking all the banks, the shadow banks, Putin's basement, all the gold in Russia, not central bank gold. Because it's all included, right? It's gold is gold is gold. So why are they buying? Because they know the dollar's going out. So what China's doing mostly is just letting the US collapse, and then they're going to come up with the gold. However, China's got a problem, inflation, and then their housing market collapsing. Oh, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Their stock market collapsed. So I'll quickly do, oh, hey, there's here, Keynesian economics versus classical economics. The classical model involves economic growth in the long run, while the Keynesian model involves economic growth in the short run. I'm not quite sure about that. Keynesians are more concerned about unemployment than inflation. Well, that's a big problem. Why do you care about unemployment? There's going to be unemployment. You'll never have 100% because you'll have the horse and buggy, and then here comes Ford with the car. So all the horse and buggy people are unemployed. They go to Henry Ford for jobs. Why? What's wrong with that? I mean, that's where you get the productivity of the car over the horse and buggy, and that's good. So that makes no sense. Classical economists believe the market is free and will determine its supply and demand level. Exactly. So what is the problem? The market is free and will do that. See, they call Austrian economics classical economics. Same thing. Here's one. The main difference between Keynesian and classical lies in the way they view interest rates. We don't view interest rates. Classical theorists thought it was best to leave interest rates untouched. Yes, let the market control it. Keynesians recognize that adjustments to the rate of borrowing influence economic decisions made by individual. Yeah, the market should dictate. The market should do everything. You don't want government telling anybody what to do or monopolies. You want the market to determine what interest rates, if you have gold, are 2%. So if you have gold, you don't have to do any of that. What is the difference between Keynesian and classical? From the new classical models, it takes a variety of modeling tools that shed light on how households and firms make decisions over time. From the new Keynesian models, it takes price rigidity and uses them to explain why monetary policy affects employment and production in the short run. What the fuck? This is no wonder Keynesians got to fail. Monetarism, another, not even calling, monetary focuses on controlling the money supply to control the economy. Keynesians focus on government spending to control the economy. This is the problem with this MMT and the Keynesians. So the MMT focuses on controlling the money supply to control the economy. Keynesians focus on government spending. Well, it's the same thing, right? The money supply is the government. Monetarists believe in fighting inflation by adjusting the amount of money in circulation. How do you do that? You can't. You've printed it. How is Keynesians different from classical economists? Keynes believed that the equilibrium was brought about changes in income levels, while classical economists believe that equality is only achieved at full employment. That's not what we believe. Keynes believed that equality can be achieved otherwise also. What is that? Classical economists believe that equality is only achieved at full employment. I don't know what the fuck they're talking. That's not what we believe at all. An example of classical economics, Smith's concept, who's Smith? Adam Smith's concept of division of labor as well as rational self-interest known as the invisible hand have been used as the foundations of capitalism as an economic system. David Ricardo was a British economist who expanded upon Smith's theory on labor and value. So that's exactly what the point is. Let the invisible hand work. Let laissez-faire work. Leave it alone. And division of labor, you go be a baseball player, Bobby. Somebody else is going to be a golfer. Somebody's going to work at the grocery store. Different division of labor. So what do classical economics, I love when they tell me what I believe in. The fundamental principle of the classical theory is the economy is self-regulating. Exactly. Leave it alone, laissez-faire. Classical economists maintain that the economy is always capable of achieving the natural level of real GDP or output, which is the level of real GDP is obtained when the economy's resources are fully employed. It's got nothing to do with fully employed. We do not believe there will be 100% employment. We believe it'll be 97, no, 3-4% unemployment. It's just normal that there would be some people not working just because of new products and new technologies. So you created you created a VCR, and so you hired people to do it, and now you don't even have a VCR anymore. So of course there's going to be unemployment because the people that made the VCR are no longer working because now it's a DVD player. If that's the case, then there would be people being unemployed from VCR and new people coming to make DVRs or DVDs or whatever. Right? I don't have a VCR anymore, but I have these movies on disc that I put the disc in a machine and it plays it on TV. Sort of like a VCR, but anybody that worked on the VCR is now either out of work or worked on the DVDs. And same thing with TVs. As the market, as there was more and more being sold, more and more people got into making TVs. And, they first started at $1,000. Now they're $200, $300 for my flat screen over here. Well, I keep fucking up. Okay, so there's my TV to the left there. So there's more money to be made. So more entrance into the Ukraine when I was there once. So I was watching the World Poker Tour with Russian hosts speaking it. It might have been in Russia. I don't remember. Anyway, so that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to increase productivity. And that's the problem with electric cars. They don't replace gas cars. So horse and buggy turned in, and then there was railroads and the covered wagon and things like that. We have horses pulling people, sort of like a bus now. And then you came out with gas-powered cars. That was evolving from, you can get in a horse and buggy, but you got to feed the horse and clean the poop and then get the wheels for the buggy, to then cars came, but were gas powered. And now the problem is, does electric cars help improve the gas powered cars? No, they're not more efficient. They're not better. Good luck finding a charge. Good luck that your battery doesn't catch on fire. You can charge the battery, but how long is it going to last? Oh, it doesn't work in cold weather. The car rusts in rain. It catches on fire. That's not better than the gas. You didn't improve. So where the computer went from a desktop phone, so the phone went to now a cell phone, and now the internet and pictures are on it. So now we don't need cameras anymore, and you don't even really need your laptop anymore because you can do it all on the phone. So now they're trying to make bigger phones, I guess. So this is how it's supposed to evolve. It's supposed to get better and better and better. That's Austrian economics. You see a need and you create it. There's a need for bagels. I'm going to create it. That's what he did. His first little thing, right? You're sitting at the bakery and there's scones and people like them, and the baker next door sees that and he starts getting, the farmer then starts creating wheat to make, so they need it to make the scones. And that's the idea, is you see what the demand is and then you improve upon it. And that's the whole point, except for now they're trying to not really improve on it. Well, we'll have solar power. oh, what we use is bad for us. No, it isn't. Nobody's dying from I don't go outside and die because my car is gas powered. So they can argue it, but they're not accurate. They're just arguing to argue. This is what the problem is. All right, so let's go here. And I was doing some interesting reading yesterday. I was looking for velocity, which I can't find in my notes because it's a Keynesian equation for how fast the money goes. So where should we go? I had a good read yesterday. All right, so from 1879, the U.S. goes back on the gold standard. Low taxes, little country exploded with economic growth. So your question is, why would we ever get off the gold standard? Country exploded with economic growth. Why would we go to Keynes? Why would we ever get off the gold standard? This is the point. You found the goose laying the golden egg. Why are you getting rid of the goose? You can clearly see that every time this has happened, whatever country was on the gold standard, we go back to the Romans, was very successful. And when did the country fail? When they got off the gold standard. Why are you getting off of it? And here it comes again. This is why I act the way I do. Here comes Russia and China and India and BRICS going, gold standard will explode. No gold standard, they'll go out. So what does that tell you right away? Hey, let's go to the gold standard. And so Russia, China, India, and all the BRICS countries and all the central banks are buying gold because they know that's the key to it. You want to have a successful country, you have gold because you can't inflate it. And inflating the money to zero is not a good thing. It leads to corruption. It leads to trade cycles, recessions. Nothing good happens from printing the money except for the thieves who are printing it, pocket it. So everybody else gets fucked. And what is the benefit of A, inflating, and B, having the government print it? Doesn't stop. It creates the recession. It doesn't help. Why should we print money now? Because we're in a recession. It doesn't make any sense. So we know every time we're on the gold standard, low taxes, little government, country explodes with economic growth because the money's sound. So it's like a football team. If we have a good defense and we have Mahomes, we have some sort of running back, and we have a decent coach, we'll win. And then everybody else, they have a shitty quarterback. Baltimore's kind of weird because they have a good defense. Their coach sucks, but they got a terrible quarterback. So they got a good defense, no quarterback. So you can see Cincinnati, okay, we got Burrow, we got a pretty good defense. I don't know about the coach, but we can't handle it if Burrow gets hurt. But that's the key to it. And that's the problem we see in the draft, right? So the key is the quarterback. But if you're gonna draft Drake May or JJ McCarthy and think you're gonna win with him, you're out of your mind. Just like Steve Young last year and Richardson and CJ Stroud, you're not gonna win with those guys. You might win with Hooker or Stenson Benson or Hayner from Fresno State. You might win with those guys. You don't know yet. I keep saying you're going to win with Trask, but you won't play him. And then this year, I'm saying you're going to win with Bo Nix. You're going to win with Penix. You're going to win with Daniels. You'll win with Hartman. I'm not sure that you'll win with Caleb. He didn't win a lot of games, but you can't blame him because they didn't have a defense. And are you going to win with Drake May? No. Are you going to win with JJ McCarthy? No. What makes you think you're going to win with these guys? Because they haven't done shit. So really, that's what your whole point is. Well, we've got the formula. If we go on the gold standard, we're going to be very strong economic country. We're not going to have high interest rates. We're not going to have no need for tariffs. Don't need a lot of taxes. And when they print the money, that's how the BlackRocks and the Jamie Dimons and everything, they're a billionaire because that, and then they help their friends because they buy stocks, and Microsoft or Warren Buffett or any of these companies, they buy stock in there and they make them worth, they're only worth paper money. The football, we're looking for the gold. We're looking because he's not the gold. He doesn't win you. If Mahomes was on Baltimore and Lamar was on KC, Baltimore would have won the game by a mile. They both had good defenses, but there's a big difference. They couldn't stop Mahomes, so he's taking you on 8-9 minute drives. Your defense is getting tired. Your offense isn't on the field. That's what's happening. So that's really the key to it. So the gold standard works. Country exploded with economic growth. Rome, France, Spain, Amsterdam, England, and us, and the whole world. J.P. Morgan, an investment banker, imported capital from Europe, railroad, steel, England, prime political entrepreneur, expert at building cartels, guaranteed profits, limited competition. So right away, J.P. Morgan, this is what the late 1800s, early 1900s, understands monopolies. He understands competition. So he understands to win because really we're in a competitive, this is a competitive economy. Austrian economics is based on competition to lower the prices and improve the quality for us. So if the one baker has scones and 5 other bakers have scones and they're competing, they're going to be better and cheaper. That's what we want from a consumer point of view. So JP Morgan he wants to be the only baker. Instead of charging 15 cents for a scone, he wants to charge $1 for a scone. Well, that doesn't benefit the consumer. Now we got to pay more for a scone, or we substitute a cupcake for a scone, right? In our world, in our Adam Smith, laissez-faire economic, free market world, there is no monopolies. Everything must be allowed to have competition, except if the cost to enter is so great, like a utility company, then that's the only monopoly we're going to have. Otherwise, we don't want monopolies. We want free market competition. But JP Morgan doesn't. How the fuck does that? How do we let this idiot get that? He got government to regulate and limit competition with price fixings. He wanted a central bank. So this is the troublemaker that puts a central bank in. And by the way, he runs the central bank. Rockefeller, JD, business entrepreneur, cost cutter, fought Morgan with antitrust laws. Rothschilds controlled the Russian oil wells, and he got the presidents from Ohio. So now you see, wait a minute, Rothschild ran the Russian oil. So you wonder how these guys get all this money. Well, a lot of it was to do with oil, steel, but back then we were building America, right? So Rockefeller says, I don't like this. I want to make railroads, and couldn't do it because of the monopolies. So basically they bought the presidency. So JP Morgan had the New York presidents, and Rockefeller has the Ohio presidents. The Rothschilds control the Russian oil. The Rothschilds controlled the Ohio presidents. Rockefeller didn't. Morgan had Roosevelt 1901 to 19, so it's Teddy Roosevelt 1901 to 1908, and they built the Panama Canal. Rockefeller had Taft from 1909 to 1913. Then Morgan comes back with with Russell Wilson, 1913, whatever, put in income tax in the Fed. Senators were elected by popular vote. Morgan controls the Fed. What's wrong with that? Well, you've got a guy who wants monopolies controlling the Federal Reserve who prints the money. He wants a monopoly and he's controlling it? No. Why isn't it free market? The government should all be free market. Schools, roads, everything should be free market. There's no reason for the government to do any of that. There's no reason for government to have monopolies. 3 keys to Morgan's: antitrust law, political entrepreneur, and cartels. Business wants protection. So this is business going, hey, make us a monopoly, make us a monopoly. Let me be the only handicapper. I don't have to be good. I don't have to prove myself. Just let me be the only football handicapper. Then I can charge $1,000 a weekend because you can't go anywhere else. And I don't have to be, I can pick 10%, but you got to come to me because it's a monopoly. That's bullshit. I have to prove myself. I have to be a fair price and deliver service and pick winners, or you go somewhere else. But that's good. That's how it should be. It's created me to pick 75%. It's created me to not charge so much, but because I give so many games, it's really per game, not much, because most of the handicappers are $35 for a game. That might be $100, but you're getting 10 games, and 7.5 out of 10 are winners. So that's the difference. 1879 to 1914 gold standard, no government intervention. Funny how gold works. After the Civil War, the Fed government becomes more powerful. Government handouts, sets up intervention, ends classical liberalism. Classical liberalism is laissez-faire economics. That's us. And it was powerful, but the government doesn't have control. The people do. Well, if I'm in the government, I want control. I'll tell you what to do, and I can be corrupted, and I can take bribes. But if you have the power, I can't. From 1913 to 1914, a big change in the U.S. U.S. government starts intervening. 1914 ends classical liberalism, starts intervention, says the government starts getting involved in the economy, which we don't want it there. World War I, nobody won World War I. Everybody gets traced back to World War II. Every problem gets traced back to World War I. Jesus Christ. Every problem gets traced back to World War I in the 20th century. Trigger of the war, killed the Archbishop of Austria. The Serbians wanted control over the Austrian states. The mafia, alliance with Russia, Princip, the Black Hand, or the mafia. Demetrius was evil, was the Black Hand leader. Yeah, just a second. Okay. Sorry about that. So Demetrius is evil. He's the Black Hand leader. So he's the godfather. Kills the king of Serbia. Serbia wanted the piece of land owned by the Austrians in Yugoslavia. It's always about water, right? Russians get French to fight Germans and get Serbs to fight Austrians. Leave it to the Russians, sneaky bastards. Russians want Constantinople, which is Turkey, because they want the water. They want the warm water port. Princip is 18 years old, kills Ferdinand, the Australian Archduke, started the war, gets Serbia into the war against Austria. Russia backs Serbia. Russia, Demetrius, Black Hand, Princip. Austria declared war on Serbia. Germany backs Austria. Russia, allied with France, Britain, needs to back the French Navy. Oh, needs to back the French because of their Navy. World War I, Serbia adjudicated audited Russia, wanted Istanbul for a war, more of the seaport, as I told you. France, Poncher, head of the war party, instead in Russia with railroads. Oh, invested in Russia with railroads. Okay. France and Russia couldn't defeat Germany by themselves, but could win a two-sided war. So again, just like World War II, France afraid of the German Navy. Well, Germany had a Navy. Who knew? France agrees with England to use their Navy. Austria-Hungary allied with Germany and Italy. So there's a lot of shit going on in Europe again. Hey, Bobby Bo, how are you? I talked about Keynes earlier, how he's an idiot and why people follow him. Serbia Princip goes into Austria and shoots the Austrian Archduke. Serbia, Russia, France, and England and Belgium versus Austria, Hungary, Germany, and Italy. So it was a big game back then. This is World War I, Bobby. These are the teams. So it's a Serbia, Russia, France, and England, and Belgium goes against Austria, Hungary, Germany, and Italy. So Germany and Italy played together a lot. Austria played with Germany this time, and Hungary. Okay, it's funny how it was Austria-Hungary. Now it's Austria and Hungary separate. Battle of Tannenberg, end of the Tsar, ends free trade, gold standard, classical liberalism, which is Austrian economics, starts the era of J.P. Morgan, responsible for the U.S. into the war, 1914 recession and crash, versus chief supplier to both sides, agriculture booms, copper, minerals, manufacturers, war material. Morgan propaganda, he owned 25 newspapers. This guy sounds like a motherfucker because he's still fucking with the gold price. He's still manipulating things. He was behind Madoff. He's behind this whole gold price thing. These people should not be allowed to be out there. It's ridiculous. Morgan buys all securities are also used to buy war materials. Morgan liquidates Britain, sells stocks, private loans through Morgan. So Morgan makes a fortune on the war and gets a lot of gold from England and France because that's all they had. Anti-German from Morgan's newspapers in the U.S. 1915 Licati incident, Britain boat full of ammunition. Woodrow Wilson works for Morgan. So we got a little more corruption going on, sort of like how Biden works for Morgan now. 1916 Colonial House, Morgan's friend, Vatican has peace plan, Britain rejects offer. Sounds like what's happening now, where Biden or Putin's got a peace plan and waiting to sign, but everybody rejects it. And that's when Boris Johnson went to the Ukraine and said, reject it. We want to make more money selling missiles and boats and cars and trucks and everything. 1917, Wilson put us into World War I. U.S. and England side, U.S. tricked into the war. Why am I not surprised? When we go off the gold standard, we have to print money to pay for the war. Why is there a war? Why did they go to war? You have gold. Why would you go to war? It's like trading Mahomes. Well, we got Mahomes, but let's trade them. Jesus Christ, these guys are so stupid. 1917, Russia, Ulyanov, Lenin leads the communist revolution. 1916, Russian Revolution, Kerensky regime, communism wins the revolution. From 1917 to 1989, we have communism. They murdered millions of people in Russia, especially Joseph Stalin murdered more people than Hitler did. And it's amazing is these guys get the power. They murder all the people. They murder all their competition, and nothing happens to them. Everybody else just sits there and what the fuck? 1918, Germany gets peace. Treaty of Versailles. British blockade wins the war. So the Britons win with the Blitz. The Fed inflates by lowering the reserve requirements in the bank. So the Fed says, so you got 100,000 in the bank, you need 10% of the money. And the Fed says, well, we're going to lower it to 5%. So you need less money in the bank against the savings. The boom World War I, U.S. is a creditor after it. We should have free trade to get paid off. Britain has U.S. competition, no gold standard. We sell on credit to Europe. 1919 to 1920, COD to the rest of the world, all trade stops. Farmers are stupid. They think boom will keep going. Manufacturing is smart. They hold reserves. This starts the bust recession, 1919, 1920. It's going to start the Great Depression back then because of this. We're off the gold standard. Let's print money. 1920, Harding is president. Return to normalcy. Harding program to solve the recession, the gold standard. So 1920, restore the gold. Why would we get off of it? I mean, we know it's the best thing, and then it's like saying, well, we're going to bet Mahomes, right? And then we don't bet Mahomes. We bet against him. And you're like, well, why would you bet against Mahomes? He always wins. What the fuck are you doing? And so I don't understand. Anytime they want the boom, they go on the gold standard, and then they get off the gold standard, and we get fucked. We have recessions. We have depressions. Why do we get off the gold standard? Because assholes like J.P. Morgan get involved and want to print money, and there's a war, and so they get off the gold standard so they can print money, come up with some excuse because he put the president, because he handles the New York presidents while Rockefeller handles the Ohio presidents. It's just fucked up. And why are we off the gold standard now? Why didn't we go back on the gold standard? Why are we letting our country collapse when all we have to do restore the gold standard? That's all we have to do. It's worked every time. And if you don't have it, you're getting fucked. Why don't we go back to it? That's what happens when you have idiots in charge. I don't know how you can really make a government work, because I don't know what you can do. There's always going to be idiots, and they're always going to want monopolies. They're always going to want kickbacks. And I don't know how you can have elected officials actually try to run a country. Maybe it works in the beginning with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, but eventually you're going to get your idiots in charge, like Obama and Clinton and Biden. I mean, this guy's running our country. Really? Would you hire him if you had a company? Would you have Biden run your company? Oh my God. How about be the coach of your football team or be your GM? Can you imagine Biden being the GM of a football team? Oh God. The players you'd have on your team would just be malicious. They'd be horrible. Oh my God. So 1921, 1922, Fordney-McCumber tariff raises tariffs. Agriculture goes into a recession. Easy money starts the Great Depression in a sense. 21 and 22. What happens in Germany? Oh yeah, they're fucked. They got to pay for the war from the Treaty of Versailles, World War I. They end up barrels because they can't afford. So it starts at low mobilization policy. Fed prints money to stabilize prices to fend off competition. This sets up the trade cycle. Again, the government cannot. Actually, this is the banks printing money. It's ridiculous. To save England, started unions, never lowered tax rates. The Fed lowered interest rates to save England after World War I, rigid economy. Let's see. German hyperinflation, 1924, the Dawes Plan by American bankers lend Germany gold to go on gold standard to collect on debt. They adopt free enterprise, sound currency. German borrows money back from the U.S. Well, this is in 1924, after they've already collapsed. Bobby Bo, he would be drafting Danny DeVito and hiring Humpty Dumpty as the head coach. Yeah, he would definitely. I don't even know if he's that smart. I don't know. It would be a circus. I had a Ric Flair anecdote from our conversation yesterday. I'm trying to think what I had said, but not it inflates the money because there's no thing. And what happens? Boom in 22, boom in 24, boom in 27, but not because of gold, not because of productivity, because you're inflating the money, which puts too much money into the circulation. And then what happens? Then the bust happens because you probably lower or raised interest rates. 1924 to 1928, boom in Germany. German must have free trade, house of cards built on free credit. Not 1920, New Deal, 1924, government intervention, deliberate move for inflation by bank credit, all the way to 270. So people who don't know what they're doing, sounds familiar, are buying stocks. It's like now owning like Tesla or somebody where it's way overvalued. There's no way they're going to sell that many cars. There's no way the stock's worth it. So some people start selling, which creates a panic, a Titanic. And that's when Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, 1929, trade implosion, causes of the Great Depression. 1929, the stock market crash. November 1930, November to April 1930. Market regained 2/3 of its losses. So why did we have a Great Depression if it was because of the market, and the market regained 2/3 of its possession by April? Then the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act causes the depression. So they do this in 1930. Geez, no, 1929 I got. 1930. Germany and Japan need world trade. They don't have it. Japan, zero economic resources, must import everything. Germany, some economic resources, must import food. Tariff hurts them the most. War party comes to power, Japan and Germany. So they're like, we'll get you jobs. Come on and work in the military. Come on, everybody. You can wear a uniform. We'll feed you. And people are out of work and the depression. So they obviously go in. The autography. Hitler, Germany should stand alone. Smoot-Hawley, one of major reasons of World War II, hurt agriculture industry. They cannot export. Then a glut and prices drop in the U.S. 30% of banks disappear, 1929 and 30, because these were specifically agriculture banks. So back then, you had a car bank, you had a wood bank, you had a farming bank. So you were strictly a farming bank. So if the farming failed, and you had lent these guys money, and then they're going to do their, make corn and wheat and sell it and pay you back. But if you fuck that up, they can't pay you back. And I can't take this. They can't pay you back. The banks go collapse. That brings me up to what I started the class with, March 11th. March 11th is the whatchamacallit day, the repo day. A repo is repossessing the loans that you have out. So March 11th, the interest rates go up on these loans. The people will not be able to pay them back because they can't afford them. Bobby Bo, I thought you said opography like the fasting. Well, maybe it's Autarky. Autography. I can't pronounce it. Something to do with Hitler. I can't pronounce, but no, it's not fasting. He fasted. He killed enough people that there'd be plenty of food. But he gets the power because you fucked up the money supply. You fucked up the stocks. You made them pay for the war, so they inflated. You put Hitler in power by basically killing Germany, and then the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. We can't export food to Germany. They're going to starve. They're all starving. And here comes Hitler going, I'll get you jobs. We shouldn't have lost World War I. So it's a big revenge game with Hitler. We lost World War I. We don't have food. Our economy sucks. But you know what? Gosh darn it, I'm going to fix everything. Just vote for elect. And he didn't even really win an election. He only had 30% of the vote. He then killed all the people that ran against him. And then the one guy died, the older guy. And then he said, I'll take power. And that was it. And then he starts, gun control. This is why you don't want gun control. Hitler does gun control. Then he can just knock on your door with the SS and the Gestapo and go, okay, come on. And what are you going to do? You can't defend yourself. So they can walk in knowing there's no guns and off you go and you're fucked. That's why you can't have gun control, because a Hitler will come along and they'll have the government come or the military come to your house and take your shit and take you. Off you go into a train. That's why I'm afraid of trains. They'll take you to the train, get you off the concentration camp, work you to death, or just kill you, gas you. Take your pick. What the fuck was that? I mean, how does that happen? And where's FDR when this is going on? Again, maybe the U.S. could have done something. He doesn't even pay attention to it. He's got nothing. He lets Pearl Harbor happen. He knew about it and he let it happen. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? And now you got BlackRock and you got JP Morgan. How does it get to that? Okay. 30% of the banks disappear. New era. More depressions or recessions. The Fed will print more money. And we all know what happens when they print more money. Commercial banks, short-term notes, stay liquid. Long-term banks fail because they're long-term credit, long-term debt. Hoover program, the New Deal, 1929 and 30. He raises tariffs, government spending, reflate the economy, inflation, raise taxes, keeps wages up, which makes unemployment. Bank of the U.S. crashes, specialize in home equity loans. So another idiot comes in, Hoover, and he fucks everybody up. What is he doing? Why is he raising tariffs? See, this is the part, if you understand Austrian economists, none of this would happen. We would be the best. This would be a great world. Everybody would be highly productive. You'd have gold. You wouldn't have a recession. You wouldn't have unemployment. You wouldn't have interest rates. And everybody would live a very happy, comfortable lifestyle. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Oh, my God. 1931, bottom out. Depression went worldwide. Austria, Germany, no credit, can't export, can't pay off their debts. 1933, Hitler comes to power. 1931, Britain goes off of gold. Gold exchange standard, use gold and gold-backed currencies. Why are they getting off of gold? They need money. All they had to do is raise the price of gold, right? Why didn't they raise the price of gold? France and the Netherlands gets hurt, causes a depression. As price of gold drops when Britain goes off gold, why the fuck didn't they raise the price? Why is it dropping? 1932, U.S. goes off gold. Oh, big surprise there. Reflation, tries to inflate, didn't pass. Agreement in France to let Germany out of their war debts. Both parties got conservative Democrats and Republicans. The Democratic Party platform is free trade, gold standard, cut government spending, reduce taxes, deregulate. They never do it, though. They lie. They never implement. And because it's FDR, the worst president, worse than LBJ, worse than Biden. This guy is the fucking devil. March 4th, 1933, FDR takes office. What a black eye day that is. He takes us off the gold standard. He raises taxes. Basically, everything he just ran on, he does the opposite. He declares a bank holiday, open only, solvent banks, and then the next day, shit hits the fan. That's why they're saying, watch out for a bank holiday. If there's a bank holiday, gold's going to the roof. FDR starts the New Deal, Chapter 41 for you playing at home. Again, the platform of free trade, gold standard, cut government spending, reduce taxes, and deregulate. Nope, he did the opposite. No free trade, outlaws gold, raises government spending, raises taxes, and regulates. You know who his economic advisor is? Keynes. The motherfucker hires Keynes. What is he, out of his mind? So he didn't take your gold. He paid you for your gold. So everybody gets this wrong. He didn't come in and steal your gold. You went to the bank and he gave you $20, which is what gold was at. So it'd be like going to the bank now and getting $2,000. They're not going to steal your gold. He didn't come to your house and steal it. And he gave you fair value for it. So I don't know, everybody's so worried and take your gold. You're going to go to the bank and give them $2,000 if it gets to that, but it won't get to that because nobody in the U.S. buys gold except for us. And I hate when I keep hearing this from like Alligator or some of these guys on YouTube. Oh, nobody in the U.S. buys gold. And I'm like, yeah, there's about 100 of us who buy gold and silver in our class. And then I know when I go to my gold store and I talk to the owner, he's, oh yeah, people are coming in buying gold all the time. They buy it more when it goes up than when it goes down. He says, why is that? I go, because they're idiots. They don't know. And what did I tell you, right? What did I tell you? So let's look at gold price now. It was at 19 something. And what did I tell you? I said, buy it, it's on sale, right? And did you believe me? Yeah, I think you did. And now the gold price today is 2024. So at 1991, and silver's at 23. So silver doesn't move much, but see, gold 2024, and that's what I tell you. In 1991, it's a screaming buy, and Hershey syrup is going up, and because the money's devaluing, losing its value, and if the money's losing its value, why? That's why I say just buy it because we know it's got to go up, and it's not even the real price. So when I hear idiots go, well, it's going to go up to 2,200. It's not a real price at 2,000. What the fuck are you talking about? Gold, if the money is losing value, creating, Pepsi went from a dime to 250. I talked about this in the beginning, Bobby. Wendy's 55 cents is now $5 for a hamburger. They didn't raise their prices. It cost you 10 cents for a Pepsi in 1971. 10 cents. That means the money was strong. That means the syrup was a penny and the can was a penny. They could do everything and make profits selling it at 10 cents. So their costs are 5 cents a can. Now, granted, you could make a lot because you could sell a lot, so your cost per unit was low. But wait a minute, why? So they made money at 10 cents. Now it costs them $2.50 to make money. What's going on? That shows you the value of the dollar right there. And the gold price doesn't really show you. It took $37 and now it takes 2,050. Well, it just shows you that it takes you 2,050 to buy the gold today. That's how much the dollars drop, but the 2050 is not a real price because it's being held down by derivatives. So if you let it go to free market, sort of like Pepsi's free, well, pretty free market, it's 250. So it shows you what's happening. All right, back to our story. So in 1933, the London Economic Conference happens. What is that, Professor? I'm going to tell you. 1947 is GATT, which is free trade, and 1945 is Bretton Woods, which is gold. So the 1933 Economic Conference is supposed to restore trade and sound money. That's what it's supposed to do. The U.S. won't do either one. The conference blows up. It causes World War II because these idiots wouldn't do free trade and gold because Mr. Keynes is behind it. Could have avoided World War II and save, 6 million people from dying. What the fuck? FDR, great salesman and no substance. So he's the man, what is he, the naked man that thinks he bought a new clothes and it's really he bought shit, or the emperor's new clothes or whatever. Why Germany and Japan went to war. Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, London Economic Conference failure. So if you would have had free trade and you would have had gold, you would not have had the World War II and all these people dying. Branch banking versus unit banking. Canada and England have branch banking. Basically, Canada is England. Banks can diversify portfolios, strong parts out the weak parts. So when the farming banks went out, they would have had banking in other areas. The unit bank, each bank stands on its own. If you were only into agriculture and agriculture goes south, the bank goes south. This caused all the bank failures. So I think you still have it now. Basic monetary policy to get out of the depression. Reflation, basic monetary policy to get out of the depression was inflation. This did not work. Lower value of gold, 135 an ounce. This fails. Fiscal policy, spending of the government, Keynesian economics. Spending creates wealth, which does not work. So you can see went right off the Keynesian playbook. Let's have inflation. Let's get out of gold and fiscal policy. Why wouldn't you raise the price of gold and end it all? Because there was plenty of gold, but you're valuing it at $35 an ounce or $20 an ounce. Just make it $100 an ounce. But I don't understand that. Why do they hate gold? Keynes brought in by FDR. I mean, what can you say about this? This is nuts. The depression caused by underconsumption, what Keynes says. Fiscal policy, output, saving, I don't know. Producing more than consuming. So you're making goods, but there's nobody to buy them. That's not, tax the rich. What is that? 1936 tax and spending spree by government, the New Deal. So he wants to tax everybody and government spending, heavy progressive income taxes, high inheritance tax, excess profits tax. So we're going to steal all the money from the people working and we'll put it in the government where it won't be used properly because we're the government. We don't do that. The economy drops, major recession, 1937, 1940, caused by the New Deal. So FDR comes in and fucks everything up for 10 years, the whole time he's president. The New Deal ends in 1938, but it's still fucked. Keynes, protectionist, worried about unemployment. So he's so worried about unemployment. Wages are rigid, downward, monopolies, tariffs, and unions. Monopolies are bad, tariffs are terrible, and unions are terrible. Monetary increased demand. This doesn't work. Inflationary, monetary policies, fiscal policies. So monetary, you increase demand for the money. So you inflate the money. That doesn't work. Fiscal policy, stimulate the economy. Government spending. He disagrees with Say's law. How can you do that? That's the law. That's Say's law. Fiscal policy to stimulate the economy, government spending. So Keynes comes in with his Keynesian bullshit and fucks the country up. FDR doesn't know what he's doing, listens to Keynes. Well, this is why you got to have good leaders. So FDR, how does he get elected 4 times? The guy fucked you up, and you keep electing him. I guess you like to be fucked up. I mean, it doesn't. It's like you're with a girl and she cheats on you, and you go, "Oh, that's fine," and she cheats on you again. "Oh, that's okay. You are pretty, so you talk a good game. So it's okay to keep cheating on me." I mean, it's unbelievable. What the fuck goes on? World War II, Japan, big issue. Manchuria, 1920s China, natural resources, economic colony of Japan. 1917 Cold midterm, communism makes Manchuria communism. Here we go with communism again. It just starts in Russia, and now here comes China with it. 1931 Japan invades Manchuria to stop Mao and stop communism and protect investments. bad fellow Stimson, Secretary of State of the U.S. under Hoover, he wants to stop the Japanese from doing this. Then he goes to FDR and he appoints him, Stimson, the warmonger. So you make Stimson the warmonger in the middle of World War II. 1940, FDR declares an economic embargo on Japan. This caused Japan to go to the war. Why are you doing an economic embargo on them? On the oil. July 1941, oil and steel embargo on Japan. You fucked them. FDR won't negotiate. He pushes Japan into World War II. November 26, 1941, Japan goes to war against U.S., and we all know what happens December 7th, 1941. FDR knows Pearl Harbor will happen. He doesn't tell anybody in Hawaii. Not a nice person. He knows the Japanese are going to invade. FDR deliberately, he did not tell them. Can you believe this motherfucker? He kills the economy. He hires Keynes. He lets people die in Hawaii. He doesn't warn them. Like, seriously, you could have warned them. They could have all been away. And then when they come, there'd be nothing there. What? Oh, you wanted to get into the war. Well, you created the war, you idiot. Unbelievable. 1943, Japan approaches the Pope. FDR won't negotiate. Geez, sounds like what's happening with Biden and Ukraine right now. 1944, Japan approaches Sweden. FDR won't negotiate. 1945, Japan approaches Stalin. FDR won't negotiate. What is wrong with this guy? Japan went to war due to the oil embargo. I mean, it's just a half page left. Hitler wallpaper hanger turns into the leader of the country. Fucking wallpaper hanger. Nazi National Socialist Party. They call it right wing. It's left wing. It's against communism, but it's socialism, which is left wing. Right wing is conservative. And yet I hear that today, the Germans, the Nazi power is far right wing in Germany. It's not right wing, fellas. It's left wing. 1924, backed by Thule Society, racist, socialist, autography, 30% unemployment. Jews are the scapegoat. 1938, Hitler takes over. Austria, Czechoslovakia. Hitler takes over Austria, Czechoslovakia, then divides Poland with Russia. France, largest army, did nothing. British, largest navy, did nothing. This starts World War II. So if France has the largest army, why did they do nothing? So here comes Germany. Didn't they see that they're building tanks and planes? Oh my God. So that was the trouble. So you can see the problem. Gold standard, you're very successful. You get off the gold standard, you're fucked. This is why I tell Luke, it's a zero. The money's zero when you get off the gold. It's just the way it works. All right, so let's get to a few videos I took yesterday. Well, I didn't take them, I just saw them. Let's see. Black Lives Matter goes bankrupt. They were $8 million in debt, and they went bankrupt. Couldn't happen to nicer people. Let's see. See, there's one here on millions will have their bank accounts drained. It's a bad title. The banks will fail, which is why I tell you to get your money out of the banks. So we're all set for that. See, we're so far ahead of the game. Because the banks are going to fail, they're going to keep your money or whatever, but so the banks won't have money coming in. The Federal Reserve should take care of that, but who the fuck knows? Tucker Carlson buying groceries in Russia. Been there, done that. I don't really like this girl, this Whitney Webb. She's saying BlackRock is planning to shock the world with some Bitcoin, like maybe 42 million Bitcoin if it halved or something. But we don't go on digital currency, so we don't give a fuck. Oh, they'll control everybody. They don't control everybody now. Go try out of your bank account. What are you taking the money? I take 10 grand to buy gold. What are you taking it out for? They're controlling us now. They just don't care if I buy, if I send $100 to Daria so she can eat. They don't care. So basically, that's what it is. It's I don't really like her. I don't really care for her. She's kind of weird. She's from Europe, but I'm not. I don't smell what she's cooking at all. She's just. I don't know how they're going to shock the world. They're going to force you into Bitcoin. They can't. I mean, that's the thing. They can't force you into Bitcoin. So I don't know really. See, this is the problem with people like this is they're not getting rid of money because the banks aren't going to allow it, right? And the banks are a little, but because they run the government, they'll bail themselves out, and then they'll just get off of dollars to the next medium of exchange, which should be gold or a different dollar. But the control issue, they're already doing it. They got your phone, they got your computer. I mean, what are you kidding me? So I don't smell what she's cooking. So I watched this. The banks are collapsing. What my friend said. I don't like this guy at all. I didn't get anything. You know, I watched it and going, and they don't know how to stop it. It's because of the interest rates. Geez, we already know that. Why does he come on like nobody knows that the interest rates are going up in the banks? They won't be able to lower interest rates. Everybody thinks they're going to lower interest rates. They won't be able to. It's going to cause the collapse. Europe is committing economic suicide. They're just basically Germany going would deal with China, but they can't anymore. China doesn't, I think they would sell a lot to China, and China is collapsing, so they're not. So we need the gold standard there pretty quickly. But Europe's NATO members prepare to defend themselves because Trump said we're not going to defend them anymore. If Russia defends Poland, we're not. If you don't, what he said is if you don't, they're supposed to pay a membership fee to NATO, and he basically said if you don't pay your fee, we're not gonna defend you. So if you paid, we'll defend you. But if you're not paying the fee for us to defend, we're not going to do it. We can't defend anyway. We don't have a military anymore. We gave it all to the Ukraine and now to Israel. We don't have anything left for us, except for nukes, but we're not going to nuke anybody. Big trucker boycott hits New York City. Again, they don't like the farmers. They don't like all the foreigners coming in and staying in New York. So, yeah, there's a big problem there. So basically, oh yeah, and then this idiot. Case for 100 times silver. Yeah, well, we already know what's going on there. So really nothing much to show you there. Just gave you the recap. So it's basically same thing happening again. Simple. You get on the gold standard, you're number one. You can beat Alabama, and then you get off the gold standard and you're terrible. And so it's just really strange how that works. That, you know, it's a very, get on the gold standard and you're fine. You won't have any problems. But why do you want to keep going to war? Why do you keep getting off the gold standard when every time you get on it, you're fine? And so the only thing that can save the U.S. is the gold standard. But since nobody's in charge, it is. He's 80 years old. I can't imagine an 80-year-old running anything more or less. He's probably just, it's just crazy. This guy's president, and he don't know what day it is. I don't really understand it. It's fucking nuts. Anyway, so we can see gold jump back up, but again, it's paper gold, so don't pay attention. The real stuff is much, much more valuable than the paper stuff because the paper is really inflated. They're selling a million ounces of gold, and there's not, there's a million ounces, because of the tonnage, but they're not selling the physical gold. It's not going down. So the quicker you understand that, then when you see the price drop, you just buy more because it doesn't mean anything. It's not correct. And as you see, gold has gone up. Gold's gone up 5,500% since 1972 when it was $37. If we got to the real price, that's 13,000%. What's a better investment than that? It's not even an investment. You're just buying money, basically. But they're not treating it as money. They're treating it to make a whole lot of sense. And again, inflation is printing the money, which loses the value of the money, right? If you have a lot of something, it's worthless. So that newest one, he says, he makes a riddle to the Riddler, and he goes, and he says, friends, and then they start giggling away like a bunch of idiots. But really, it shows you the less there is of something, the more valuable. We can even go to Batman to get economics. It's the more valuable it is. The less they're worth. This is what goes on with the dollar. I mean, the more you print, the less they're worth. It's not worth anything. I got rid of my notes that this was 1993, that the dollar was worth 11 cents. I read yesterday. Again, the biggest problem is these different types of economics, where the MMTs and our Keynesians and the classical or the Austrians are, let's use gold. Not the government should never have a monopoly on printing money, but they never talk about that. JP Morgan runs the Fed. They never talk about that. And they print money and print and print and print. And they want to come up with velocity as the reason for inflation, which is just how fast people spend their money. Why would that create inflation? Oh, the prices will go up. Well, that's not inflation anyway there, fellas. Hate to break it to you, but you don't even know what inflation is. It is not prices going up. It's the dollar being, the supply of dollars being inflated. Why is this such a hard concept? And yet none of them know what the fuck it is, except for Egon. I'm not sure Alligator gets it, but Egon gets it. He knows. And I from what I'm watching at the grocery store today and what I'm watching, that shit's gonna hit the fan real soon, I believe. I don't think we have much time. So we will see, but I don't know if we'll get through March, really. So, because you might not have to pay them. However, your house will not have a value anymore until it gets valued in gold. So keep that in mind. Gold will be the superstar. Gold is Mahomes, so keep that in mind. So at the end of the day, you have the gold, which protects you. This is why I tell you to buy gold and silver. And I hate shows that say, "Well, I'm not a financial advisor." Well, I'm an economist. However, you should buy gold because that's the way for safety and freedom. It's the only way. And then all the silly digital talk just goes down the wayside because you're not going to play that game. You're going to play your game, your gold game. And there's got to be a medium of exchange. That's the point of the medium of exchange. Point is simply, I got to get how quickly I buy something. But if I save, that's not good. Savings is good because that's if you put the money in the bank, that allows the bank to loan it out, which creates business. Savings, it's just really stupid, basically. So anyway, understand the inflation, understand why gold works, right? Because gold works because you can't inflate it. So it's a very simple concept. They print this to death because the central banks are Keynesian, thinking we've got to print to help the economy, are shoving it in their pockets as fast as they can, even though it won't have a value. How did it work in Rome when they shoveled the money in and it didn't have gold or silver on it? How did that work? So keep that in mind. This is going out, and this can be printed. So you're printing trillions and trillions, and my gold cannot. You can't print this. This is what it is. I heard that they were trying to do it. They were trying to figure out how to manufacture gold, and they couldn't do it. Yeah, because you need gold. There's no way around. You need gold. The dollar, it's just paper. It's just the design. You just need the right paper and the right plate, and you print it. But gold, you can't fake gold. And if it's real, then it's real, and that's all you can do. And that's the bottom line. So keep that in mind. That gold can't be printed is why you want it, and it's real money. And it's being held down, so it's going to go to its natural price, a physical price. And keep in mind, too, the U.S. is making all these enemies that, I was going to say Germany, that Russia and China and BRICS love to see the U.S. go down. Look at the incentive. China's can be number one. Russia can move up with all their gold holdings. That's how they'll move up. And, that's what's going to happen. So we will see. Otherwise, not much else. Hit the pool, hit the grocery store just to get some meat. And like I said, you can't use cash at the cash register, but I used a debit or a credit card, which is cash. It's electric cash. So people are so stupid. They don't even know what they're talking about. You can't use physical cash, but you can use electric cash. But I don't see Bitcoin being used at the grocery store because they don't know what the value is. And because it's not accepted, it's not money. So this whole thing the girl says about BlackRock controlling the Bitcoin money or market to get all the information is just not true. I mean, Bitcoin, not understanding economics and money. This is a medium of exchange. It's get paid, buy things, or save things, or buy gold with it. And that's what it is. So you'll always have this. You've always have had it. So it's not like it's going to go away. I mean, you have to have that medium of exchange, and Bitcoin isn't it, because you can't even put it in your pocket because it's electric. So you don't even know if the internet goes down, you're fucked. So everybody's going to that's why they want the debit or credit cards. At least I got money in my pocket. And that's what's happening. So anyway, so I guess that's it. Bobby Bo came on. Have a nice day, Bobby Bo. Yeah, Danny DeVito and Humpty Dumpty. Bobby Bo. Anyway, I think that's about it. I will be coming on about this time. I don't know. I'm just kind of lazy in the morning. And then I'm getting to the pool a little bit later and I'm swimming and then I kind of run to the grocery store and want to eat a little bit. And then by the time that I'm ready to roll, it's 2:30ish. So like today was 2:30ish. So that's about it. And again, it's a live video. So I notice a lot of people are watching it, which I'm happy for. And again, I'm trying to help and I know it's, you can only, gold is this, money is that, inflation is this, prices are that. You can only, it's the same concept. There aren't like 100,000 concepts I can talk about. So I'm giving you some notes in history, or I talk the Titanic, or I talk, that's why we try to get into sports and wrestling and stuff. Stoic, not much. I mean, I'm just basically just quiet to myself at the pool a little bit. I'll say hi, and that it depends on who. And not much else going on. I'm waiting to go to Europe. I'll see when. And we'll go from there. Otherwise, I'll probably go March or April, but I'm not sure where I'm going or who I'm meeting right now. So Daria, we might go to meet in Turkey. The daughter doesn't want to meet because she hasn't met me yet. So I've been stoically thinking about this. So I was going to meet both the mother and the daughter, and we'll go on vacation, or I'll go to Russia and meet them. Initially, I thought I was going to stay at Daria's apartment. Now it's becoming, well, the daughter wants me to meet the mother and then see what I'm like because they've never met me. And now Daria's like, oh, well, why don't we go to Turkey then and do that? I thought you wanted me to go to St. Pete. Okay, I thought you wanted me to, stay with you for a while. So now I don't know what's really going on. I'm trying to understand the daughter where she's afraid to meet until I meet the mother, and the mother can say I'm okay. I'm a little bit like, what the fuck? I mean, because it's been a couple years, right? I was going to meet him, and then the war broke out. So it's been 2 years. So I'm like, why are you worried about that? Like, are you not aware of me? What do you? I say I'm talking to you every day on WhatsApp, sending videos, or I'm on YouTube, or not a lot of. I don't know how much English they know, so it's more typing. She understands the typing. Basically, I'm trying to figure that out. Do you think I'm not truthful? But I think it's just girls being scared. I know most of the girls I meet are scared the first time I meet them because I will go to Europe and I'll meet girls that I know from here, but I haven't met them yet. Then I go, and then the friend or the sister or somebody comes with, then they say I'm okay guy, and then they go. So I don't know what that is, including Carmen, who's pretty strong. I can't imagine she was afraid, but I didn't really ask the reason. I guess they must hear stories of Americans coming and we're not nice people. See, it's a racist thing because I'm an American. They don't really know what to make of me because let's face it, these are not girls that come to America. They can't even come to America, right? The Ukraine, the Russians, the Romanians, they can't come to the U.S. So their idea of the U.S. is we're all rich, we're all assholes, I guess, and they can't. So when they want to meet us, they're not sure who we are. They know we're not Romanians, and they get treated bad by the Romanians or the Russian. Like Daria says, I hate Russian guys, and I keep like, what's a Russian guy? Like, what does that mean? Or they just, I guess they just treat them bad. And so that's why she likes me, because I'm a nice American. And so I'm kind of confused by it a little bit, but okay. So I said, that's fine. I'll meet I'll meet the daughter later. Um, so it's just funny that like they go, there's no rush. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, there is. Uh, the economy's collapsing, and I don't know what's going to happen with being able to fly to Europe like I do, or I might just have to stay there or live there. I don't know what's going to happen. I know we're not going to have the money's going to be fucked. The gold will be good, but then so now I got to arrange what do I do with my gold and silver, my baseball cards, if I go there or if I just stay there or my apartment. So there's a lot of if factors going in that you need to understand. I moved to Alabama and I moved everything, but there was a mover. This is, over the ocean, and I don't know how much it costs to ship things. Like I'm leaving my car. I'm like, well, what do I do? Sell my car for 17 grand, my Camry, and then buy one there? Or I don't need a car because Europe's much more buses and trams and subways and stuff. I mean, so that's a big thing too. So I'm not really sure, but here we need a car. That's for just to go to the grocery store and the gym. I need the car every day. The gym's 10 miles away. I couldn't, if I walked, it would take me a day to walk it. So anyway, so that's what's happening. So we're waiting, deciding, Turkey. Now it seems like she's Turkey, but she'll decide when. And I'm like, okay, but this is why you have two girls, not to hurt them, not to be mean to you. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm just trying to put it this way. It's like two restaurants, right? You got McDonald's and you got Wendy's. So you eat at both of them, and then you determine, well, you know what? I'm really going to eat at Wendy's because it's healthier food. I can get a baked potato and chili. So I'm going to go to Wendy's instead of McDonald's. But you have to go to both to make that determination. Or Chinese restaurants or grocery stores. I go get my meat. It's more expensive, but I only get the meat there. And then when I want veggies, I go to the cheaper store because broccoli's broccoli. What do I need to pay more for broccoli when I can get it at the cheaper store? So that's really what happens. But it's the same with people. You're meeting one person and then you want to meet another one to see, you want to kind of compare it. So that's kind of the best way I can describe it. You're not hurting the grocery store or Wendy's or McDonald's. You tried McDonald's, you tried Wendy's, you chose. So been with Jenna, haven't been with Daria yet, then I'll choose. And, that's how it should be. You should meet multiple people to choose who's best for you. Like, oh, what's the best place to eat at, right? And that's all you're doing. And you do it in golf clubs and golf. What golf course do I want to go? Poker. What casino do I like better? And so you make all these decisions based on competition, based on trying things. That's all I'm saying. So don't have one girl and then not understand the other restaurants or the competition to see what you want. And a lot of times it's just that gut instinct that you'll see the girl, you'll just, oh boy, I'm in love, and off you go. And does that work or not? Is it long-term or just short-term? But you've got to, if you're with a girl, then you meet the girl with the chemistry, you're fucked, right? What are you going to do? And so that's what I'm trying to do now is say, look, okay, Jenna, fine, check. And here's Daria, let's meet. So I thought it was interesting that the daughter said, well, why don't you meet my mom first? And then she'll tell me, what you're like in real. And I'm like, it just seems kind of like, what don't you trust about me after knowing me for a couple of years? So I said to Daria, she knows what I do, right? She knows I'm in finance and economics and football. I go to the pool, she's seen my pictures. She says, yeah, she knows. I think my synopsis is she's shy to meet me. I get that sometimes. I don't know if it's looks or personality, where girls are just normally shy anyway, and to meet somebody like me, it's different if we meet at the pool or at the grocery store or something, and then you get that initial. But when you kind of meet, but not in real, I think they get nervous. So I think she's like, my mom will, and Daria's like, I'll tell her everything. And then, and so I think she's just wanted to make sure that I am like I am. And maybe she's just really shy to meet me. That's my guess. And, at first I thought it was me. She doesn't trust me. Like, I got upset don't you trust me? Right? Why don't you trust me? Like, why are you afraid to meet me? Do you think it's, I'm not like I can't act like this every day and not be this, right? So I'm trying to figure out, do you think I'm like, is it my character flaw? And then I'm starting to now this is very stoic. You take their point of view. So now I'm trying to think like the daughter going, what is going on in her mind? And I don't think she's got any really qualms about me. I think she's shy to meet me. And, because I'm American and stuff like that. And then you've got to, what is he really like? I mean, is he going to hurt me or, I don't know. Maybe that's the Russians do. They beat their women. I don't know. But that's the thing. It's basically, I know they cheat on their women, but they all have mistresses. It's hysterical. But with that, I don't know what she's worried about. That's what I told her. What is she worried about? What does she think I'm really like in real that you can't tell from class or the videos I send? I try to I'm walking the lake or walking into the pool and I'll say, here I am. I mean, what anyway, who knows what the real reason is? I'm sure she's just scared to meet me in real. And, sometimes you get like that. You get that little, you hope everything goes well. So you're a little afraid and to meet me and stuff like that. So I get that. I told Dario it was my eyes. A lot of girls get intimidated by my eyes are kind of pretty and I get a lot of compliments on them. So sometimes it's hard for people to talk to me. And until I start relaxing them. So I think it's helping that Dario's like ready to meet and we'll meet just the two of us, which is fine with me. I don't care, but I don't mind if the daughter, get to know her too. We'll see. But I think she'll be pleasantly surprised. I know Daria will. Jenna is, and everybody I've met is. Yeah, because you treat them nice with respect. You just be yourself and you be stoic. Okay. Like I don't like drinking, and Jenna likes drinking because it's a Ukrainian thing. And she'll go, "Why don't you drink?" I go, "I don't want to get the sugar. I don't want to have diabetics. There's a lot of sugar in alcohol or wine, and I don't drink. I don't need to." And I think, I don't smoke either, but I hold on to my values and I go, you can have a drink. I'll have a drink. I'm going to have a tea or I'm going to, I don't even want the pop too much. So I tend to get green tea because I don't really want a lot of pop. And then I don't want to just get water. So I tend to get green tea and she's fine with that. I don't bother. Like, you want to smoke? Go ahead. You want to have a beer or wine? Go ahead. So she does that a lot. And I think she's fine with the fact I let her, but I don't. But I hold my value. I'm not going to start drinking because you want to drink, but I will drink once in a while. But I think the Russian, it's a celebration. So let's have a drink. And if you don't drink, they don't really understand it. But I told Daria I don't drink and I don't smoke. So that's not my thing. And so I think she's fine with that. She understands that going in. She smokes. She doesn't drink. Well, she's trying to quit. Once we meet, it looks like Turkey, which I'd rather because it's a pain in the ass to get a Russian visa. And especially under these times, it could be really hard to get a Russian visa and then get a plane because you really can't fly Detroit to St. Pete. You got to fly to Turkey to St. Pete, which could be hard to get the connection, right? You'd have to fly to Turkey and then set up a different plane because you can't even go Detroit St. Pete where they're gonna maneuver you to Turkey and then down. So it'll be Turkey and then Turkey to St. Pete, separate flights, which are a pain in the ass. Get your stuff, and then how long is the layover and everything like that. You'd rather just be on one flight. So yeah, it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to go to Turkey. And I think Daria probably doesn't mind getting out of. She says she wants me to come to St. Pete, but I don't know. So I don't know what's going on with the daughter being afraid. But again, I don't know if she's afraid. I think she's afraid. I don't know what else it could be. What is she worried about? I mean, I'm going to meet her, but I'm gonna, date Daria, not her. So not really sure. But anyway, that's what's going on. So we'll see when that happens. I'm not working, so it could be any time. And then the pool, teach, cook dinner, turn on some Netflix, and off we go till tomorrow. And so it's nice to get out. But I don't mind not working, and that's the beauty of gold. Gold protects me. I don't need to work with my gold. I just need the gold to go up, and it looks like it's going to go up in the next couple of months. But that's the beauty. I can't lose. The gold can't lose its value because I understand why its value is demand. Just like I say, is there demand for the Mahomes card? Yes. Therefore, that's got value. Is there demand for gold? Yes. Every central bank, China, Russia is buying it. So it's not going to lose its value. There's demand for it. It's money. But the reason I brought in Keynesian today, or, it's gold, it's not, no, we need government spending, because they go with the Keynesian look. That's why you have so much problem with these guys that really don't know what they're talking about. Maloney and Andy Schechtman and Rick Rude and all these guys, they don't get it. They're not Austrians, so they don't understand. Austria is the best way to play it. That's Mahomes. That's the gold standard. So it's like, well, we won't bet on Mahomes. Let's bet on Lamar. And you're like, hey, why would you bet on Lamar when it's Mahomes? Why would you not bet on Mahomes? And that's really what we suffer with gold. They're betting on golf, or they're betting on these other guys, and it's just shake my head, right, Bobby? It's just you shake go to gold. It doesn't move. It's suppressed. It's amazing how many people don't understand that the COMEX rates the derivatives to keep the price down on gold, how it's fixed. And, it's amazing how many people don't get it. It just fucking just blows my mind. There's another guy that you should not pay attention to. And who is it? This is, Robert Clementine. Well, I watched him. Might be here.
I guess what surprises me most is that the majority of people are totally $0.4 million. That is a CEO. We are facing a crash like.
Yeah.
Where these banks are fragile and what or whatever. So
I don't know. Where is this guy? It might be here.
When it hits Wall Street, it hits Main Street. Main Street wakes up when Wall Street.
So watch this guy. He's a Keynesian also.
Main Street woke up when the 1929 market crash.
See, he doesn't know what he's talking about either. Did I reply there? And it's funny how people like follow the guy and say how great he is. They don't even understand it. So you got people that don't understand anything. Well, I don't know.
You woke up with the panic of '08. Mainstream is going to wake up when the markets crash. Again, they don't know.
So avoid this guy. People think this guy's smart, but he's not. He's Keynesian. So this is another example of here's a guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, and people listen to him, and it's another shake your head moment where you're like, they don't know what they see. They don't know anything. So they see this guy and he comes across and they go, yeah, I'm going to listen to him, but he's wrong. And this is the problem. What he talks about is Keynesian. And this is why I try to clarify the claim. And this is the problem we're having. We've got idiots like this guy, and we got Peter Schiff, and we got Reichert and Rick Rude and all these other guys, and they're all telling different stories. And most of them are not Austrian economists, except Egon. And even Alligator's not as Austrian, but he's close to being Austrian. He's like a cousin to Austrian. But Egon is Austrian. And that's the only one I can find, and that's why I show you Egon. But this guy here is not Austrian. They're more Keynesians or MMT, which are Keynesians. They're believe in the government running. They're not really, some of them are gold people, so it's confusing where they'll say, yeah, buy gold, but then all their reasons don't make sense. So keep in mind that you've got to be careful who you listen to. And please ask me if you got a question. But again, this guy, Gerald Clementine, doesn't really, well, it's like Peter Schiff. He's comes across, it's like FDR. They're all like salesmen, but they have no substance. And I think that's what I keep trying to warn you about. Be careful with these guys who are salesmen without substance. So FDR is Andy Schechtman and Rude and Reichert, all these salesman type. Rick Rude's just trying to sell you ETFs that he lies about. This guy, I believe, brought in ETFs. The other guy was talking about ETFs, and he talked about Rick Rude, so he's obviously working for him. So you got to be very careful. There's a lot of Ponzi schemes out there, and if you don't know, you're going to get Ponzi scheme. So I'm trying to warn you. It's very simple. The dollar's going out. Buy gold. Period. Buy silver. Period. That's all you need to know. You can learn it, but you got to understand what you're learning. So Keynesians believe in the government and printing money, and it's all bullshit, and you shouldn't go there. And that's my point. So be careful with that. Be careful with all the shit. So it's not, sometimes knowledge is good, and sometimes the wrong knowledge is bad. So look at FDR. He lied. He was a salesman. He brings in Keynes to be his Secretary of Finance or whatever. And it got us into a depression for 10 years. You listen to this guy, you're going to be in a depression for 10 years. If you go the right way with gold, you're fine. If you go the wrong way, then you're in trouble. Or the idiot trying to sell you uranium or gold stocks or ETFs. No, got to be physical. But you got to know that and just keep buying the coins. You got to stay away from ETFs because you won't own the physical. And what people don't understand is the dollar's going out to zero, right? So everything priced in dollars goes out. Well, they don't tell you that, and they don't realize that, but I do. So what I'm telling you is stay the fuck out of dollars because they're not going to be worth anything. Oh, yeah, that'll never happen. Yeah, go ask the Romans if it'll never happen. It's happening because if you print it and nobody wants it, it has no value, which is what I try to keep showing you. So keep in mind, nobody wants the dollar. They're all getting out. They're all going to BRICS. And there's Egypt's now got off the dollar, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China. None of them want the dollar. Well, Russia can anyway because we've sanctioned them. And that's an alarm that all these other countries are now going, we don't want to get sanctioned. So keep that in mind about the sanction. You want to be very careful. The bully getting hit. So just to be safe, buy the gold coins. It's not about you're going to make $1 million because the dollar won't have a value anyway. But to be safe, buy the gold coin. You can't worry about it. It'll never attack on Wall Street you, and you're going to wake up and I had $60,000. Now it's gone. Well, that can only happen in a paper market in a Ponzi scheme like Wall Street or the banks. The banks collapse. So Wall Street does this. Madoff stops paying. But if you notice gold, that never happened. So people are trying to get rich buying, stock, and then they end up losing everything, or Madoff losing everything. But in gold, have you ever heard anybody losing with gold? No, it just keeps going from $37 to $20.50. Goes up 5,000% since 1972. It's gone up a lot since 2 years ago I was buying it at $1,700. And even so, it's gone up $300 for me in a few years. And we're about to get the shit kicked out of us, and the gold will really go. So just wait for that to happen. Anyway, time for dinner. It's 5:30. I'm going to put a steak on. And I got a little bit of ribs. I'm going to put them on. Not a lot. And don't get the pork ribs. I bought the pork ribs, and I cooked them the way I would steaks, right? I didn't know how to cook them. I don't like, they're just too pink and they don't have flavor, at least the ribs I bought. They were cheap, and now I know why they're cheap, because nobody wants them, because they taste like shit. So I cooked it up, basically broiled them like I would a steak, and I had 4 rib pieces, and I cut one, and it just tasted terrible, and it was so much fat. I think of the whole thing, I had this much meat, and the rest was just fat I'm cutting away. And so it's just don't want anything to do with it. So you got to be careful with the pork. It's a lot of fat, and it's not really that healthy for you. I'll eat, like Daria said, you eat pork. I said, well, I'll eat bacon. In Russia and Ukraine, it's cheap, so they have it. I don't know how much cow she actually eats, but she gets beef once in a while. That'll be the thing when I'm on vacation. They can see me. We go eat. They see what I eat. We do this. I take Jenna shopping. I pay. I bought her perfume for Christmas. It's funny, when I bought it, I said, "Merry Christmas." You got your Christmas gift. Don't bullshit me. So, so I'm very nice in that respect, right? That I take her shopping and I pay for it. And the only time I argue is when she buys for the kids, and it's like $100 pair of shoes. I'm like, let's just be careful on that. I don't mind spending on you. It's your kids that let's not spend that much. Anyway, so until gold goes up, then I won't care. But she has gold and silver, Jenna. Daria, I'll give her some. And anyway, yeah, I mean, in real, you get you hold hands, you kiss. There's all that other stuff you can't do when you don't meet. And that's the biggest, that's my point. And even I'm anxious to actually meet Daria versus, talking on WhatsApp or sending videos. I asked her to Skype. So, yeah, maybe we can Skype. And I'm like, well, okay. We have Skyped before, but it was a while ago. And we will see. But we do talk, but I don't know. See, the problem is I don't know how much English they speak. And so I think that's another reason. The daughter, Jenna speaks English pretty good, right? The Ukrainians tend to speak English. I'm not sure Daria, she knows a few words. I think she's ready to meet, but I think the daughter's also, that's another thing, is speaking the language, and what am I going to say to him? So I think that starts happening. I'm going to meet him. What am I going to say to him? And I can't speak much English. And so she's probably not ready to meet me. But the other, the Romanians speak English. The Ukrainians pretty much speak English pretty good. The Russians don't really speak it like the others do. So that's going to be a little problem. But there's always on your phone. There's a translator, so she can type in Russian. What do you want to do? Translate it to English. Then I can type in the English. Well, let's go here or let's go there, and then she can read it. So that's how you communicate it first. Then it'll be, an eating thing or a shopping thing, and then she'll, what else are you going to do? Eat, shop, swim, go. Those are your basics, right? And then I'll bring my computer and watch Netflix. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, Turkey will be interesting. Never been there. And I think they're mostly English. And I should get a big bang for my buck because they have inflation. So my dollar's going to go a long way there. Anyway, I think that's it. So have a nice night. www.teaserking.com if you want to email me with anything or just come on here. Bobby Bo, have a good night. Luke, Greg and John, where were you today? But have a good day. Stay safe. It's coming soon. March 11th is going to be a big day because of the repo markets coming due. So the interest rates are going to go from 2 or 3 to 5, and that's going to kill the banks because it's going to cost them a lot more money. So there's going to be big problems on March 11th. So I would say just be safe, get the gold and silver, get your money out of the fucking bank by then if you haven't. Don't leave a lot in it, and off we go. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Excuse me.